More video for you that we shot earlier of the police response to that scene and the ambulances traveling down Bob Wallace. That is where Way 31's Brittany Harry was, Bob Wallace and Crestwood. That is an entrance road into that neighborhood, which is kind of on the backside of where that apartment complex is. So more police officers and that ambulance leaving the scene. Take you live back out to the Huntsville Hospital here, where police are on the scene, and we're expecting a news conference here shortly from Huntsville Police. We're trying to get more information on exactly what happened, and most importantly, the condition of those two officers who were shot, apparently ambush style, at that apartment. Police telling us they got a call of shots fired, and as police do, they go to that scene without a second thought. No hesitation. They went to that scene to protect life and property, and they got there and they were shot at and ambushed by this suspect who apparently hit two of their officers. Those officers rushed to Huntsville Hospital here, where we're waiting to hear on their condition. Huntsville Police ended up sending officers and SWAT units to that apartment complex, and we believe that that situation has been resolved. We don't know how it came to an end, but we know that it appears to be over because all the officers have pretty much left that scene now, and the roads have been reopened around it. Way 31's Xavier Wary has been outside that area near Jordan Lane and Governor's House Drive Southwest. He joins us now live again. Xavier, we talked about this earlier, but it looks like the situation's been resolved.
Yeah, it does. And you know what, Dan, not even a full minute ago, Sydney Martin with HPD just came over to us and said that they are going to be giving us an update very, very shortly. She says that the next update is going to come here live. It's not going to come through an email. So we are just awaiting to hear what she has to say, and any update that we can get, we're going to provide that to you all live. Our Alex Perez is already over there. But yes, the scene does seem to be cleared. Obviously, the roads are back open and traffic is flowing as normal. But again, the big news we are waiting to hear is what Sydney Martin with HPD has to say, and that will be coming up very shortly. Dan?
All right, we appreciate that update. Thanks, Xavier, and that is good information, because I had assumed that this news conference would happen outside the hospital, but it is going to happen closer to the actual scene of these crimes near Jordan Lane and I-565, just to give you a general reference of where this is happening. So Alex Torres-Perez, Way 31's Xavier Wary, all standing by with that. We expect to hear from spokesperson Sydney Martin with Huntsville PD here in just a few minutes. Meanwhile, you're looking live at Huntsville Hospital. Again, this is just outside the, there's hugs all around here for HPD officers, and this is right outside the ER of Huntsville Hospital. Officers consoling themselves there, two of their own fighting for their lives, we assume, inside the walls of that hospital after being ambushed and shot at the Governor's House Apartments on Governor's House Drive Southwest. This is a live shot now, again, just around that street. Let's see how that street curves off to the right. Then it curves off to the left, and that is where the apartment complex is. What you were looking at there are more of those HPD officers and SWAT units coming out of that apartment complex after this standoff situation with a person who apparently shot at and hit two police officers came to an end. We don't know yet how that came to an end. Sydney Martin is working on her statement right now, and she should be joining us with HPD here in just a few minutes. We have reporters standing by to talk to those officers and Sydney Martin in just a few minutes when they get that ready to go. But again, there is a SWAT truck right there, and you see other police units nearby. They are leaving that neighborhood. Earlier, we saw them turned around going the other way, and they would curve off to the right and disappear behind those trees, which is where that apartment complex is. And apparently, because of that standoff situation there, we're not sure how that was resolved, but we are going to get more information for you shortly. We're going to stay with this until that statement from Huntsville Police comes, and it should be here in just a few minutes, as you heard from Way 31's Xavier Wary, and it will be out here where that scene is. This is the scene at Huntsville Hospital Many Huntsville police units on the scene there to support their brothers and sisters in the HPD. 2 of their officers, 2 of their friends, 2 of their co-workers shot and wounded in the line of duty today. This is, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for everyone involved that we don't have more information to pass along to you right now, but we have told you what we can. Here's another police officer from a different jurisdiction coming into Huntsville Hospital. We'll just let you watch this and stay with us as we see what's happening. We know in situations like this, we'll see officers assisting Huntsville Police from surrounding jurisdictions. Madison County Sheriff's Office, Decatur PD, for example, will come and assist. And this was a huge police presence, especially, of course, when you hear of 2 officers shot and wounded in the line of duty. That's the response you get. We're waiting for a statement right now from Huntsville Police on the condition of these 2 officers who are right now at Huntsville Hospital. Other police officers there to support them. We assume family and is arriving at the scene as well. We don't know who that person is right there, but it looks like they were brought there by a police escort from another jurisdiction. So we'll see what that is about. That's, again, a live picture from Huntsville Hospital. We have multiple reporters covering this breaking news for you. We'll check in with them here in just a moment. This is a statement from Congressman Dale Strong, 5th District here, which includes, obviously, Huntsville and Madison County. 2 Huntsville police officers were shot in the line of duty tonight, an absolute tragedy. Details are limited at this time as the standoff is ongoing. That standoff, we believe, has now been resolved. But the statement continues. I am following the situation closely. My prayers are with the officers and their families. That statement from Congressman Dale Strong here, 5th District of Alabama. There's a live picture now, again, of Huntsville Hospital as the sun begins to set. We've been following this breaking news for you for over 2 hours now. Reports of shots fired at an apartment complex. Police rushed to that scene only to be met by gunfire from a suspect who hit 2 police officers. Those officers rushed here to Huntsville Hospital. We are waiting on an update on their conditions, praying for the best outcome. Police were in a standoff for well over an hour with a suspect inside an apartment at that apartment unit, that complex. This is the Governor's House Apartments on Governor's House Drive near Jordan Lane, where it intersects with 565. Police seem to have resolved that situation a little while ago. We saw dozens of units leaving that area and lights and sirens off. So we believe that situation with that suspect has been resolved. We don't know how. And again, these are answers that we hope to get when we hear from Huntsville Police spokesperson Sydney Martin coming up in just a few minutes, we are told. Here's a live look at the area of that standoff. It's hard to make out, but just past those trees, if you go toward the west and north, that's where that apartment complex was, or is, and that's where the standoff was. That's Jordan Lane you're seeing run across your screen from left to right, and 565 is just off to your right that you can't see. Here's a traffic map. You can see the traffic is all cleared up, but that's the area that we're talking about. 565 runs diagonally across your screen right there. Jordan Lane to the north and south, up and down on the right, and that's Bob Wallace running along the screen at the bottom and then curving back up to the north. So that's the area that this was all cordoned off while police were in a standoff with an armed and very dangerous suspect. Live look at I-565, no problems on the interstate right now. Passing that area. So that's some good news at least there. So the situation at that apartment complex has been resolved. We're pretty confident in saying. Now all our attention and our thoughts and prayers turn to what's happening at Huntsville Hospital, where those 2 Huntsville police officers were taken with serious injuries, we can only assume, after being shot in the line of duty. this afternoon. Happened about, I want to say about 2 or 3 hours ago is when we got the information here into the newsroom shortly after 5 o'clock. Shortly before 5 o'clock is really when we started hearing the first inklings of this, and then confirmation that there were 2 officers shot and wounded and a police standoff was underway came in our 5 o'clock hour. We're waiting on a statement from Huntsville Police right now on the condition of those 2 officers, how they're doing tonight, and of course every officer who can be there, I'm sure, is there at Huntsville Hospital to support HPD as a whole, and of course those 2 officers and their families as they await for word on their loved ones. It has been a chaotic scene at times. Way 31's Xavier Wary described it as that, and that's certainly the case. With police officers swarming this apartment complex. You're looking at video right now shot by a Way 31 viewer who was on 565 looking off to the south, and that's the apartment complex, which is, that road runs right along 565 there, and officers swarming that scene where those 2 officers were shot and wounded, and a suspect barricaded themselves inside an apartment there. We're also told other injuries were in this scene as well. We are told that there was another citizen who was injured and rushed to the hospital, so we'll learn more about their injuries as well, hopefully in this statement coming up in just a few minutes. That's the scene looked like earlier this afternoon along 565. There's that apartment complex. You can see it there. If you've driven this area and looked off to the right, you know that's it right there. As you approach Jordan Lane, the exit is just a little ways, a few hundred feet off to the right there. But that's the apartment complex, and you can see the dozens of police officers who converged on that scene to rescue their wounded officers and to resolve the standoff situation that was underway in one of the apartments there. Here's a live look again at Huntsville Hospital. A lot of officers there waiting on news of their fellow officers who were wounded in this ambush attack. Ambush is how police described it to us. So they were called to a shots fired scene. They got there and then were ambushed, apparently by this suspect who shot and wounded 2 officers. Way 31's Max Cohan is bringing us these pictures for us from outside Huntsville Hospital. We also have Way 31's Xavier Wary, Way 31's Brittany Harry, and Way 31's Alex Torres Perez, waiting on that news conference, which will be coming shortly from Huntsville Police as they gather all the information they can for us so we can pass that along to you. Max Cohan can join us now live at the scene of that where the hospital is. Max, do you get a sense of the mood out there outside the emergency room?
Dan, I would definitely say it's somber. I mean, it's very quiet out here. I would say almost eerily quiet. You really could just hear any noise that came out because there is no noise emanating from anywhere else. It is almost silent out here. And as you can see, those officers are just standing, waiting for some information, hopefully some good information about their fellow officers. And obviously, it has been quiet out here for quite some time, as every now and then an ambulance will come in, but it's really hard to tell whether or not it has anything to do with the situation. So we'll give you an update as soon as we have one. Reporting live in Huntsville, Max Cohan, Way 31 News.
All right, we appreciate you standing by for us, Max. This is a hard thing to experience. 2 officers shot. We don't know the extent of their injuries at this point. We're waiting for information. It's frustrating. Everyone in North Alabama, I would feel, is praying and pulling for these officers, praying for their families, and also supporting Huntsville PD during this time. We do know the officers were shot and wounded. If you're just joining us, we don't know the extent of their injuries, but officers have gathered outside Huntsville Hospital here waiting for word on that. Officers' families have been... Okay, we're going to go to a live news conference now to get some information on what's happening.
Ready?
You ready? Yes, sir.
All right, I'm Deputy Chief Michael Johnson with the Huntsville Police Department, and it's very unfortunate why we're here today, but I'd like to explain a little bit about what went on behind us. We received a call on Governor's House Drive at the Governor's House Apartments around 4:45 in reference to a shots fired call. 911 actually had a female on the phone that had been shot or indicated she was shot. Our first two officers that arrived on scene and actually located this female, and she was injured and she was being transported to the hospital. During the course of the initial part of the call, the officers were also shot by an offender that later became barricaded, in which you saw the police response, overwhelming police response thereafter. And we had a barricaded subject for a little over an hour, and then about 6:20 we were able to take that subject into custody. That subject also was injured and has been transported to the hospital. Right now the Chief Giles, is at the hospital with the families, updating them on the officer's status. At this time both officers are critical, and from what we understand the female is also injured and is okay. Behind me I have Sheriff's PIO, Madison County Sheriff's PIO, Brent Patterson. I'd like to thank Sheriff Turner for his assistance. When this turned into a barricaded subject, he supplied some resources for us that helped us with that. I also have Captain Jesse Solman here with us as well. Right now I'm not going to take any questions. We're going to be en route to the hospital. We thank you for coming out here tonight.
All right, you've just heard from Huntsville Police. That was Deputy Chief Michael Johnson giving us an update. Good news. Good news is the officers are alive. They are critically injured, though. So doctors and nurses are doing everything they can to save their lives. Right now, Deputy Chief Johnson saying the call initially came in at 4:45. Shots fired at this Governor's House apartment complex in Huntsville. Two officers arrived at the scene. They apparently found a woman who was shot and wounded. They got her out. The woman was taken to the hospital. Apparently she will be okay. But that suspect apparently ambushed the officers and shot two of them. They are in critical condition, as you just heard, now fighting for their lives in the hospital. That suspect barricaded himself in the apartment, we're told, for about an hour. Officers and SWAT team members were able to get him into custody at that time. So apparently a peaceful ending to this situation. He was brought in, but he is injured. So he is alive, apparently also taken to the hospital where he is being treated for his injuries. We don't know how he was injured, but he apparently was injured in some way. But again, the best news we can give you is that these two Huntsville police officers are in critical condition right now after being shot and wounded in an ambush attack at an apartment complex in Huntsville. So they are in that hospital right now. You're looking at a live picture of Huntsville Hospital where they are being treated for their injuries, and we are praying for the best outcome for them, obviously, as is all of Huntsville and North Alabama. We are going to stay on this story. We'll be bringing you continuing coverage on this police standoff and those officers shot, and of course updates on their conditions and how this all came about. We'll have live team coverage for you coming up tonight on Way 31 News at 10 o'clock. We'll be breaking in with any updates as needed throughout the night tonight. For now, I'm Dan Schaefer reporting live. We'll send you back to regular programming right now.